Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Kim Christensen. After serving 15 years in prison, a man is free tonight. A judge in Adams County erased his convictions today. 9
News reporter Colton Chavez is here to show us that moment when James Garner walked out of prison.
Kyle, just look at that moment behind me. You can't make something like this up. He was serving a 32-year sentence for a triple shooting at a bar in Adams County back in 2009. Now, Garner worked with the Corey Wise Innocence Project out of CU Boulder to prove he was wrongfully convicted. A moment 15 years in the making. James Garner holding on to loved ones as a free man.
He went out to a bar in November 2009 to celebrate his birthday, and that was the night his whole life changed. Jeannie Siegel is Garner's attorney. She says back in 2009, Garner and a group of his friends were at a bar off West 52nd Avenue and Pecos Street when someone started shooting. 3 brothers were wounded but survived. Siegel says Garner became the focus of the investigation after his glasses were found at the bar. Prior to trial, there was no real evidence that James Garner was the shooter. Siegel says it wasn't until Garner's case had made it to trial that the 3 victims identified him as the shooter. So they actually failed to identify him in a photo array that was presented to them just a few months after the shooting. And then it was only nearly 3 years later at trial that they identified him in court. While that identification held up in court the first time around, Siegel says new research shows that identification is unreliable. And that ultimately led a judge to overturn Garner's conviction and set him free. To now think that he'll be able to hug them and to go home to them, it's more than words can describe.
Garner has maintained his innocence since his arrest, and now that he's out, prosecutors said they won't pursue new charges against him, and they don't expect to bring new charges in the case at all. Colton Chavez, 9 News.
We're following breaking news out of Brighton tonight. 2 people are dead after a shooting. This happened after 6 o'clock in a neighborhood near North 7th Avenue and Walnut Street, just east of Highway 85 and Highway 7. Police wouldn't say whether they were looking for a suspect. We have a crew on the scene. We're working to get more information. We'll bring it to you when we get that. We're also following breaking news in Denver. Firefighters say they have pulled 1 person out of a home that caught fire tonight. 2 other people got out on their own. Here's a live look at the scene. It's in the Platt Park neighborhood, just east of I-25 and University. Denver Fire says they arrived to find heavy smoke and heavy fire in the basement. Firefighters now say they have the fire under control, but they're facing a situation with hoarding conditions in the basement area. They also say arson investigators are taking over. We're working to find out how those 3 people are doing. We'll let you know when we learn more.
Well, here we go into severe weather season. This is video from earlier tonight near Lyman. Pretty impressive looking storm cloud there. Some lightning flashing in the distance. This is what meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen likes to refer to as his preseason. This is where he starts to warm up, get back in game shape for the heart of the season, Corey.
OTAs, if you will. Yeah.
That's right. I already had my big pep rally watching both Twister and Twister's movie 7 to 8 times. And now we're underway here. We have severe weather season underway, and we had our first round here in Colorado. You can see these storms out in Kansas right now. That's round 2. Round 1 actually prevented the Colorado Rockies from losing a baseball game tonight because it got rained out in KC Mo. Here in Colorado, though, we had some severe thunderstorm warnings. Those have since gone away, and we do have some somewhat milder thunderstorms still left out there, and that could continue for another couple hours. Here's the forecast for Denver on Thursday. Very similar day here. Temperatures into the low to middle 60s here with some sunshine early. Clouds and storms come to the area later on. We could have a thunderstorm early and then a better chance here later on in the evening hours tomorrow. And then that rain could carry on into Friday, whereas this kind of wet pattern kind of continues all the way until Friday afternoon. But the good news here is that the weekend looks real nice with some temperatures in the 70s and possibly up to close to 80 degrees. I'll have more on that forecast and the severe weather that we're expecting tomorrow coming up in a minute.
New tonight, Thornton police say that a driver died in a crash after trying to outrun a police officer. Happened around 104th Avenue and McKay Road about 5 o'clock this evening. Police say an officer tried to stop a speeding car. Driver kept going. Police say the officer then turned off their emergency lights. Not long after, That car crashed into several other vehicles. The driver died on the scene. Police say several other people went to the hospital. Because the crash involved police, an independent team will investigate.
A woman accused of stabbing another woman to death in Wheatridge over the weekend is a repeat offender who was out on bond. 28-year-old Callie Federico was killed near 38th and Sheridan on Sunday afternoon. Her family says she was from New Jersey and she was planning to fly back this week. Police say she got into a fight with 47-year-old Amani Tate. Tate killed her. 9 News Investigates found Tate has at least 3 prior arrests for assault. Court records show she was awaiting a mental competency evaluation. In one of the cases, she was accused of trying to stab a woman in 2020. That woman said she warned the courts about allowing Tate to walk free.
And I literally just said that I think that she is going to hurt somebody. If anything, she's going to end up killing somebody, because if my brother wasn't there that night, I would have been killed.
Tate is currently in jail on murder charges. She's expected to be back in court on Friday. New tonight, an abortion clinic in Boulder is closing its doors after 50 years. Many of the people who came seeking services there came for Dr. Warren Hearn.
He became one of the first surgeons in America to perform late-term abortions. 9 News reporter Janelle Finch sat down with him today to talk about his decision to close a practice that figured prominently in the debate over abortion.
For 50 years, this unassuming building was no secret to the people who needed it. This was a safe space for pregnant people who didn't want to be pregnant anymore. This was home for Dr. Warren Hearn.
You know, it's a very important place in my life.
After 50 years, Dr. Hearn is beginning a new chapter, but he has to close another.
This is very hard.
To do so.
Very hard.
He says he's getting older and the service isn't getting cheaper.
It became increasingly difficult for us to stay open and to help these people and to have the resources we needed.
Thousands of women seeking abortions have come through this door, many of which who are from out of state, but now they'll need to find care elsewhere.
60% or more of our patients were coming from Texas, and about 80% are coming from other states, most of them red states.
At 86 years old, Dr. Hearn knew this day was coming.
It breaks my heart.
But even knowing what's ahead for him doesn't make accepting fate any easier.
Breaks my heart.
Or letting go of the past.
I want to continue helping women, and it became impossible to keep this open.
After 50 years, this may not be the space it once was, but the memories, the people, and the stories stay with Hearn.
It's a gift when a teenager looks up at me and says, "Thank you for giving me back my life." So it has certainly given an important meaning to my life and the life of those that have worked with me here.
Janelle Finch, 9 News.
Colorado now has 4 confirmed cases of measles this year. Public health workers in Denver announced today the latest case is an adult in the city that's tested positive. They say that adult's been quarantined while they're infectious, so they don't think anybody was exposed outside that household. This adult is from the same family as the baby who got measles earlier this month. That baby was too young to be vaccinated. First reported case was last month in Pueblo, and then the second was in Archuleta County 2 weeks ago.
Survivors of sexual assault can now find help at the Rose Andom Center in Denver. The center has offered support to domestic violence survivors since it opened nearly a decade ago. Today they announced they've expanded to support people who have endured sexual assault. Those survivors can now report an assault to Denver police, seek medical care, and get legal resources, all under one roof.
Really provides improved access for people, so when they come for services, they're not having to go to multiple locations, but rather we're the ones that are responding to them.
Detectives, victims assistants, and crime analysts from DPD are now in the building. So is a sexual assault prevention and survivor support team from the Blue Bench.
Denver is one step closer to bringing a professional women's soccer stadium to the Baker neighborhood. Today, a city council committee unanimously voted to move forward on city funding. The plan is to build the stadium for the as-yet unnamed team near I-25 and Broadway. The ownership group would pay up to $200 million for construction of the stadium. City Council is now deciding whether to kick in $70 million from bond money to buy the land and to make public improvements. One of City Council's main concerns brought up today was the community benefit agreement. That is a deal between community organizations and developers to make sure that the neighborhood's priorities are reflected in the project. That led to talk of the minimum wage for this women's soccer league. It's about $48,000.
The minimum league salary, none of your players will be able to afford to live in Denver.
Yeah. I understand.
An irony.
That's going to be a tough conversation. We need to make sure that people who are working in the city of Denver are being paid appropriately.
Plan still needs final approval from City Council. That vote's expected to happen May 12th.